How is it going, everybody? This is our first live before DFS lock show. Luke Reimer to the right. I am Zach Bruner. We are toying with the
Oh shoot!
we're toying
Sorry.
with the possibility of doing some DFS shows right before things kick off. I know there was a demand for it. Some people said that is one of the things they want from the Flurry Sports YouTube channel, so we are here to do so. And I think Thursday could be a day that we do it going forward, going live before the Thursday night football games and, talking about the information, updating lineups right before, leading all the way up until lock. Obviously, today we have two preseason games, the first of which begins in 1 hour. The New York Giants will take on the New England Patriots. And then a half an hour after that, we got the Tennessee Titans taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Preseason DFS is a completely different animal. There's a few other layers of difficulty, of risk to decipher. And for that reason, a lot of people don't play, which just, opens up the opportunity for us to play. But there's two ways to win in the preseason. First off, and the most important thing and the most difficult thing, obviously, especially for week one of the preseason, we need to figure out who's playing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the first game we get is the Patriots, and the Patriots aren't going to be telling us a whole lot anyway, so that's certainly difficult. But then number two, and this is the part where people figure out number one, they think they're all good, but number two is you need to know who's playing with who.
Mm-hmm.
Because stacks are so important for DFS. There's no point in playing. Like I was talking to Luke right before we went live, Malik Willis is going to be starting for the Tennessee Titans today. There's no point in playing him and the guy who's going to get snaps in the fourth quarter together at this point. Because if that fourth quarter guy catches a touchdown, it's not going to be from Malik Willis. And for that reason, I'm switching up my stacks here because all week, all camp, Malik Willis has been practicing and connecting a lot with wide receiver Des Fitzpatrick, with tight end Chig Okonkwo. But I don't know how often they are going to be on the field together today. Fitzpatrick maybe a little bit. But before all of my lineups, I did not have Kyle Phillips in the same lineup with Malik Willis. That is changing right now. But let's go over the quarterback situation for all four teams, just because I think that is the most important part. If you get the quarterback that's going to play, get some points, I think that's a good way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, quarterbacks, first game, Giants versus Patriots. Giants are going to be playing their healthy starters for about a quarter, supposedly. So we got Daniel Jones. I have everything written on my whiteboard here. We got Daniel Jones. We got Tyrod Taylor playing, and then we got Davis Webb. This is an interesting trio because Daniel Jones, okay, he's playing a quarter. That means he's probably going to get like 2 series, whatever. Tyrod Taylor, why would he play in the preseason? I don't know. We know what Tyrod Taylor is. The Giants know what Tyrod Taylor is. So I'm going to guess he's not going to play a ton, maybe a couple series as well. Maybe he plays the second quarter, and then that would leave Davis Webb for third and fourth quarters, which would make him the most valuable. Oh, by the way, Davis Webb comes from Buffalo. He is the one who knows this offense probably the best in that quarterback room. Look no further than Jarrett Stidham in the Hall of Fame game. Obviously, he looked like he had a firm grasp on the McDaniels Raiders offense. Obviously, he came from New England. So I think Davis Webb, knowing the offense, is a little bit of an advantage. I think he's more likely to throw it around than Tyrod. So I like him there. New England only has 2 quarterbacks today. We have Mac Jones out. We got Brian Hoyer most likely starting. And then Bailey Zappi, a guy from West Kentucky, he's put up crazy stats. He is going to be the other quarterback. And again, the situation, I would assume, Luke, you feel the same way. I know the Patriots know what they have in Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on the team 800 fucking years now.
Yeah.
There's not much more that you're going to learn about Brian Hoyer tonight than that you haven't seen in the past.
Right. So, I think even saying he gets a half is
a lot.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to get he might get 1 quarter, and then we might get 3 quarters of Bailey fucking Zappi.
Right.
Which, that could be, he's put up crazy stats in college, and you know what? For DFS, that could be the money maker right there. To Tennessee, Ryan Tannehill is not expected to play. Like I said, Malik Willis is going to start. I would assume he gets the first half. And then Logan Woodside is going to be the other quarterback. He was there in the preseason for them last year. He played pretty well. Nothing too crazy. And then the Ravens, Lamar Jackson's out. Tyler Huntley is one of my more favorite quarterbacks playing tonight. However, the Ravens have three quarterbacks as well. They got Tyler Huntley, they got Brett Hundley, and then they got Anthony Brown. And Hundley sucks. He's also a veteran. They know what they got. Huntley, like there's a situation where maybe they try to showcase Huntley just to see if they get any trade offers. I'm not for sure, but it's certainly good to get him more snaps because he looked pretty good last year in regular season. And then Anthony Brown is another one of those mobile guys too, and he is what he is. But that one is harder to figure out playing time, I think. Or
Agreed.
do you have it? Yeah. Do you have any ideas of how you are looking at that quarterback situation?
It would make most sense to me, right, that Tyler Huntley probably sees the first opportunity at quarterback, just given what we saw from him last year. I don't know how the Ravens feel about Tyler Huntley, but I'm almost wondering if Brett Hundley with a D gets some run here because, is a backup quarterback spot up for grabs here?
Probably. I would assume the Ravens, just because the way they run their team, they might keep three quarterbacks. I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% for sure.
Especially with Lamar coming off of kind of a big injury.
Right. And all of the guys they have are pretty mobile. They can all run that same offense. I have no idea. I'm just going to look quickly to see if I can see what Brett Hundley did in the preseason last year.
Where was he last year?
Indianapolis, it looks like.
Sounds
He
right.
played in only the third game, and in typical Brett Hundley fashion, he completed half of his passes through one touchdown, one interception. So
not much money there.
No, he did rush twice for 30 yards. So again, this rushing attack could be on full display tonight. There's a few wide receivers I like there. Just because, for simplicity's sake, I just want to do a firm switch to tight ends since there's not very many people to talk about there.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the only tight ends I'm looking at to put into my lineup, we know how the Ravens run their offense through their tight ends in terms of the passing game. I like both Josh Oliver and Isaiah Likely.
Mm-hmm.
I think Josh Oliver's probably going to get the start. So if we are playing Tyler Huntley, which I am in a lot of lineups, I would stack him with Josh Oliver. In other lineups with different quarterbacks, I think you're cool with going with Isaiah Likely. And then I still like Chiga Okonkwo from Tennessee. I think he could get a lot of burn in the second half. And let me check his name. The young tight end with the Giants. His name is Austin Allen. Yeah. What a white name.
Yep.
I don't mind him either. Jordan Atkins is there. Yeah, Atkins. Scumbag of a human, but he is interesting as well. But I'm not sure if I'm going to play him.
Nobody grabs your eye from New England?
I don't know what the hell they're going to do.
You got to imagine that Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith aren't going to play.
Correct. And then Asiasi is probably not going to play because of injuries. So then we're looking at Dalton Keene and Matt Sokol. Like Dalton Keene, they invested a decent amount in him, I believe. What round was he drafted in?
The only reason I asked while you looked that up is just talking through the quarterbacks. The one that seems like maybe I want in my number one lineup is going to be Bailey Zappi from New England, just because it feels like he has the most opportunity. He has the highest opportunity to play the most time.
Yeah. There's two ways to think about it. I think he's for sure going to be the most popular play just because people have said that. Mm-hmm. I think it's the most opportunity. He is a statue in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So we see a lot of offensive lines struggle in the preseason. Usually the mobile quarterbacks are the ones who do the best. So the fact that I think he's going to have the highest ownership, probably, plus the fact that he doesn't move very well, like I'm for sure going to have exposure to him, but it makes me want to pivot off of him
which makes sense.
and hope he does bad. If he does
Yeah,
well, then I would need to have a perfect lineup to win a tournament anyway.
fair.
But yeah, I like the quarterbacks I have written down that I have exposure to. It's Bailey Zappi, Davis Webb with the Giants. I'll play Daniel Jones in a couple lineups. Just again, he has the legs, and if he's playing a quarter, we're just hoping he scores a touchdown, whether it's running it in or throws a touchdown. At that point, he's probably going to be on par with other quarterbacks, anyways. Malik Willis, again, he's can run a ton, and he should look pretty good. And then Tyler Huntley. Those are the 5 quarterbacks I have exposure to. I do have the most exposure to Tyler Huntley, and then Malik Willis, and then Bailey Zappi, and then I kind of split the Giants quarterbacks after that. What about you?
That's kind of in the same boat I am. As I was, doing some research and putting together lineups, I found myself most often going with that stack that you said, Tyler Huntley and Likely.
With Huntley and Likely, you said?
Huntley with a T.
I don't think they're going to play together. I think, like, if you're stacking tight end with the Baltimore quarterback, if you have multiple lineups, I would at least split it. I think Josh Oliver is going to see more snaps with them.
Okay.
From the way practices have shaken out, maybe.
Okay.
I would at least split it because,
right.
One of them is going to see targets for sure.
Yep.
Running backs is a really interesting spot today. Because you're saying the Giants have a first quarter of their starters. Saquon Barkley, I believe, has played 6 preseason snaps over the course of his entire career. And they all came in his rookie year. Again, this is a situation, I don't know why they would play him.
No.
But it sounds like they are. And if he plays, even if he plays one drive, all we need is a rushing touchdown. It seems like he could do that. So I think you need to have him in at least one lineup.
Agreed.
But I wouldn't go crazy with him, right?
Yeah, I mean, when he's in too, big if, like if he plays drive, quarter, whatever, he's probably going to be the best player on the field at most times.
Yeah.
So that alone, I mean, best player, you probably want to get the ball to your best player as much as you can, right? So yeah, I love taking a shot on Saquon Barkley here. I think you can chase 50 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, if you're looking to take advantage of the Giants playing the starters for the first quarter, obviously Daniel Jones, obviously Saquon Barkley, and then the other one I would have at least a little exposure to would be Wan'Dale Robinson, the rookie who they have been using all over the lineup. He looks really good. So if Daniel Jones throws a touchdown, I think it's going to be probably to one of those 2 guys. Kadarius Toney's out. We do know that. Obviously, Sterling Shepard's still out. Kenny Galladay, again, he's one of those guys where I can't imagine he plays the full first quarter. But he's interesting. I don't know. But I would still rather have Wan'Dale Robinson. He should be he could see the ball in a variety of ways. They could use him as a running back out of the backfield. They could throw it to him underneath pretty easily. I like him quite a bit. But it sounds like he has the starting spot fully locked up. So again, like there's a chance Daniel Jones plays longer than even Wan'Dale Robinson does.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I love, if you're putting together a lineup, doing Barkley and Wan'Dale Robinson, because I think we're pretty on the same equilibrium here, saying that one of those 2 is probably going to score, right? If they score, first 1 or 2 drives. So I don't know. I don't necessarily want to call it a coin flip, but I don't necessarily love stacking, or not stacking, but going Barkley and Robinson in your same lineup.
Fully agree. We're just sticking out running backs here. We'll get to wide receivers in a second. The other Giants running back that I am interested in is Brightwell. I think he could see a large amount of the second half carries and snaps. I can't imagine Breida plays. And then is that Antonio Williams? I don't know how much he's going to play. So That's who I would go with there. He's just a bruiser. Don't expect much receiving work, I don't think, from Brightwell, but he could fall into the end zone, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Now New England. This is where it gets crazy. New England likes to give one guy in the preseason like a shitload of work. We saw them do that with Ramondre Stevenson last year.
I'll tell you, the New England running back not to take is James White.
Correct. However, especially coming off of that news, I think the two guys that are fighting for his replacement job are interesting. And to me, that would be Pierre Strong Jr. coming from South Dakota State, and then Ty Montgomery. I think Ty Montgomery has the leading. I think he has the edge to get that job. I think he can be extremely good with the Patriots this year.
Mm-hmm.
But because he's a veteran, how many snaps is he going to get? One thing that is kind of fun is he's listed as a wide receiver on DraftKings, though. So there's a chance for you to get more exposure to another running back by putting him in with the wide receivers. I am refreshing the news, trying to figure out if he's going to play or not. But if Ty Montgomery does play, I think you need to roster him. So definitely have exposure to him. But then the other running back there, Kevin Harris, I think is going to get, like, if one of the running backs gets 15 carries, it's either going to be Kevin Harris or it's going to be Pierre Strong, I think. And make sure you don't pick Damian Harris. I think there's going to be some people that do that on accident, but I think Kevin Harris is an interesting play for me, Luke.
I would agree. I was high on Pierre Strong coming out of college. I think when we had talked about something about draft, I had mentioned that Pierre Strong maybe can take over that James White kind of role. Obviously, for tonight, like you said, if Ty Montgomery is playing, put him in your lineup because you're going to get 3 running backs and 2 receivers as opposed to 2 running backs and 3 receivers. That feels like better reward for a risk, right? But yeah, Pierre Strong, he seems pass catcher, right?
He ran the ball a ton at South Dakota State, but I think he can be a pass catcher. I think he's perfect for that James White sort of role.
I do too. And that's why I like him a little bit more.
Yeah, I have exposure to all 3 running backs quite a bit. I will say I do think you can have Bailey Zappi with Pierre Strong. I don't think I would go Zappi with Montgomery or Kevin Harris very much, personally. If it's cash games, do whatever you got to do. But if we're looking to take down a tournament, I think that's how I would approach that. Mm-hmm. And by the way, we got a few people in here right now. If there is lineup news or any news about this first preseason game or the second preseason game, definitely drop it in the YouTube chat. I am looking for it as I update my lineups as well here. But yes, I currently, like, what we're seeing right now is all what I have up to date. But those are the 3 Patriots running backs. Tennessee, again, they like to lock on to one guy, give them a large workload in the preseason and the regular season. We know Derrick Henry isn't going to play today. Some people are thinking maybe it's Jordan Wilkins that gets the large workload. I know a lot of DFS sites are saying that, which means hopefully his ownership's a little bit higher. I find myself going Hassan Haskins out of Michigan. I like him a lot. I think if he gets 15 carries, I think he's going to be productive with them. So he's in a lot of my lineups today. I'm really hoping he's the guy. But if it's not him, it seems like it's going to be Wilkins.
Would you almost it's tough to do it in DFS, but would you almost take both of them?
In cash games, I think that's fine. Just because, you're just looking for touchdowns on the slate if you're playing cash games. So if you have both of them, you should get at least 1 touchdown between the 2. So I don't mind that strategy. If it's a tournament, I wouldn't do that.
Okay, fair.
And then that's it for the Tennessee running backs. One of them is going to have a good game, though. My money's on Haskins. We shall see. Baltimore, again, they have a ton of running backs. We don't know who is going to be active, who is not. I know Gus Edwards is not. We know J.K. Dobbins is not. Mike Davis, again, he's one of those guys I can't imagine why he would be, so I'm fully ignoring him. To me, it's between Justice Hill and Tyler Batty. Justice Hill coming off of injury. Could he be good? Yes. Tyler Batty. I think Hill's probably going to get the first crack at the work. So I think Batty could get a lot of Batty, Beatty, whatever. I think you could get receiving work. I think you could get a lot of run in the second half. If for some reason you are going one of those later Baltimore quarterbacks and want to stack him with Beatty, I think that is okay because I think he'll get quite a bit of work. But yeah, those are the two running backs for me. I don't know, Luke. Do you think Corey Clement's going to get anything or any of these other guys?
Well, I mean, just bringing up Corey Clement, is Corey Clement any? Of course, he's different than Brian Hoyer, but in this situation, is he any different than Brian Hoyer? I mean, he's been in the league forever. We know what Corey Clement is. I think Baltimore has an idea of what Corey Clement is. Why, considering why they signed him to that loaded running back room right now.
Yeah.
So Corey Clement does not speak to me at all. I think Baltimore knows everything they need to know about it. Plus, Tyler Batty, they got rookies that they need to run, need to get live action against. So I like the young guys more than I like Corey Clement.
Yeah, and Clement was just picked up too. So, not that running backs need to know the offense, that they really don't. But to your point, they have all of these other guys that they have a lot more invested in.
Yeah.
Why would you give Clement the chance to outperform them?
Right.
At this point, if he does better than Justice Hill is whatever, but if he does better than Beatty and it really looks like Beatty shouldn't be on the team, that just creates controversy for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So in terms of running backs who I like the most, who I'm targeting the most, I find myself going with a lot of Kevin Harris, Hassan Haskins, and then I'm sort of splitting my lineups between Pierre Strong Jr. and Ty Montgomery as well. I'll sprinkle in some Tyler Beatty, Justice Hill. I'm splitting those two as well. I don't have a firm grasp on who I like. For whatever reason, Haskins is just, my gut is saying Haskins has that 80-yard game or something.
I like it.
That's what I'm hoping with.
I also, just to circle back, I have Saquon Barkley in a lot just because I'm chasing those 50 yards and a touchdown in the first two drives.
Honestly, and that's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
If he falls in the end zone, he could get a lot of receiving work too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind that at all. The Patriots offense or defensive line is supposed to be really good. So we could see Daniel Jones under pressure immediately, and that only helps, obviously, Saquon Barkley in the passing game as well. So I like that call. Wide receivers, again, for the Giants, Wan'Dale Robinson is the only starter I would go with. I'd pair him with Daniel Jones. However, I don't have a lot of exposure to him just because I don't think he's going to play much. One guy in the Giants I really like, and you've heard his name before. He is a preseason MVP. He was a Hard Knock star. Keelan Doss, we saw him with the Raiders. He played really well. I think he's going to get a lot of burn with the Davis Webb group. And I love a Davis Webb Keelan Doss stack. That's what gets me up in the morning. I have a lot of it. So I really like Keelan Doss today. In terms of other Giants wide receivers, though, I have a little bit on Richie James Jr. He's had some good success. I got a little bit of Robert Foster, but nothing else really jumps out to me. What about you?
No, I mean, even Keelan Doss, sure. Nothing really jumps out to me for this Giants team in terms of receiving weapons, other than probably Saquon Barkley, right?
Right. That is, yeah, I kind of didn't even think about his receiving workload. I might put Saquon Barkley in a couple more lineups just because of that. But again, if he takes one hit,
I know,
on the first play,
I know,
I would pull him
100%.
Dayball, though, he was talking to reporters. He said he didn't even tell his team yet that they were going to play. He's like, "Oh, I probably should have told them first." So I think he's doing whatever the fuck he wants right now. Patriots wide receivers. So it seems like the starters will not play. And the starters to me would be Bourne, Myers, Devontae Parker. Aguilar could be one of those guys that you feature and hope he does well and then try to trade him. He seems like the odd man out in this receiving group.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see if he's even active or not. However, Tyquan Thornton will be active. It sounds
Love
like
him.
he's looked really good apparently. And if you're saying all he has to do is run a straight line and he can burn this terrible Giants secondary,
Give it to me.
I think Brian Hoyer can find him.
Yes.
Yeah, I like him.
I think Tyquan Thornton is he's the winner tonight. He wins you money tonight.
I agree. I also like what's his first name? I don't know what his first name is. K. Wilkerson. I wrote it down somewhere. Christian Wilkerson. I think he's been standing out in camp. I think he is pretty good. And then Lil Jordan Humphrey, he's actually pretty big. He can be a good red zone option for Zappy. I like him as well. Again, if you're looking at which secondary is the worst tonight, I would say the Giants secondary is the worst out there.
Yeah, I think by far, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So fire up those Patriots. Oh man, like Zappy could pass for 300 fucking yards. It wouldn't surprise me.
I'm going back and forth on Zappy and Hundley.
Man, I have a lot of both.
Yeah, if I have to make one definite lineup that it's the number one, I'm still torn on Hundley with a T and Zappy.
Right. Man. Yeah, Patriots passing tech actually could be pretty good, and it would be super Bill Belichick after everyone's saying there's so many problems in New England. This is a disaster. The offense has been looking terrible.
But like you said,
lock user.
Zappy probably doesn't win you a ton of money, right? Because it seems like the whole consensus is on him tonight.
I agree. I'm actually like just searching Twitter right now, just looking to see what people are saying about DFS, just to see if I can get a read on ownership.
Yeah.
With Malik Willis getting named the starter, there will be a lot more people on him than before, which is good. So that actually does help my Zappy shit.
I think I like Zappy now.
I do like him. But it would be super Bill Belichick after people criticizing him to come out there and put up 40.
Right.
Just fucking destroy him.
You just put the starters in and 60 minutes of starters and just win 59-0.
Mm-hmm. It's a feel-good victory. It's good for morale. Let's go to Tennessee. Looking at their wide receivers, Robert Woods will not play. Westbrook Keene, I don't think he's going to play either. If he does, it won't be very much. I'm just ignoring him for that reason. The rookies will play. Obviously, we know Kyle Phillips is ahead of Treylon Burks. People like Burks a lot more. Burks is going to be played a lot more. But so the ownership's going to be lower on Phillips. Phillips is a better football player. Give me Phillips all day. I like him a decent amount for this.
Yep. And we just recently talked to him, I think yesterday on Fantasy Football Show.
Yeah.
For stacks.
Yeah. It looks like he's going to start.
Yep. I'm all in on him.
Have a little exposure to Burks, but yeah, I would definitely go Phillips over him. Des Fitzpatrick, like I said, there's been as much of a connection as there can be formed, I suppose, with Malik Willis. I don't know how often they're going to be on the field together, but Fitzpatrick has looked pretty good. Then who is the other guy? Terry Godwin. I have seen multiple Titans beat reporters talk about this guy and thinking he could be the sleeper star for tonight. And I'll be honest that I know zero about him. I won't even pretend to. But if they think that he has the potential to go off, then he's worth a little sprinkle across your lineups, I think.
For sure.
Otherwise, that's that, I believe, for their wide receivers. Baltimore, again, I think the best passing or receiving targets for them are going to be the tight ends. That's not too much of a surprise. However, wide receivers, Rashad Bateman should be out. Prochet should be out, a little banged up. One guy who I was really hoping to play, he got banged up, is Slade Bolden from Alabama. He probably won't play, and if he does, he's a little banged up, so he might be limited. He's been really good, to no surprise. Weird that an undrafted Alabama guy is good.
There should be no situation where every Alabama guy that goes to the draft should be on an NFL team.
Yeah, legit, 100%. But yeah, so I'm staying away from him because of the injury. Bailey Gaither is a name people know, at least Packer fans do. He looked good in the USFL. He left Monday's practice hurt, so I'm staying away from him. He may not play. So we're getting really limited to who we can even play. And the guys I am gravitating towards are Tylan Wallace. I've seen him before. He's pretty good. And then Jalen Moore has been one of the standouts at camp. So he's been pretty good. If we get a report that says Devin Duvernay is starting, I'll put him into the lineups. But he's another guy. Like they just don't have enough bodies. I don't know why they would play him.
Yeah.
So, but if he does play though, I will put him in somewhere.
Yeah, especially if he plays, you can chase a punt return for a touchdown too.
True. And I mean, right now he's slated as a starter, opposite of Rashad Bateman, for whatever that is worth.
They need T.Y.
Hilton, Will Fuller, do something.
So how long, I know we're coming up on game time here, but I'll go quick. How long into the season before Baltimore signs like an Antonio Brown or a Des Bryant that, his ownership, that player's ownership goes up to 80% in fantasy leagues?
Honestly, like I feel like the Ravens are always super good in week one for whatever reason. If they aren't, who do they even play? Let's see.
I know last year they had that awesome game against the Raiders to start the year. The Raiders won in OT or whatever.
I think the year before that was the Dolphins where they destroyed them.
Yeah. Like they played 45-0 or something.
Right. They play the Jets week one this year. So if they don't destroy the Jets, then maybe they call a few people, I would say.
Yep.
Maybe they're the ones who calls the Patriots for Nelson Aguilar or somebody like that, because that would really help them out. They need somebody.
That offense needs a burner.
Yes. But we've talked about the position groups, defensive, I guess, DSTs. I'm playing either the Patriots or the Ravens pretty much across the board. What do you think about that?
I'm playing the Ravens just because I have less Titans on my team.
There you go. I have a lot of lineups going, but let's just talk about who we are leaning towards, at least for our top lineup. In my top lineup, I am going with Tyler Huntley as the quarterback just because of ownership reasons, and I'm just hoping he plays a good 3-4 series. I like his rushing capabilities. He gets a lot of yards on the ground. So if he can run for a touchdown, that's all I'm looking for. What about you for quarterback?
Same exact thing. I made my decision where Himmer's happy.
Yeah, like them both. If you're doing like a single entry tournament, though, I don't mind going with Davis Webb just because you will be the only person with him probably. And like I said, he knows that offense. Running back, the top two I am going with are Hassan Haskins and Kevin Harris from the Patriots.
Yep, and I'm going with Haskins and Barkley.
I like that. Wide receiver, we'll go with 3 here. I am going with Tyquan Thornton. I am going with, where's my top lineup? I can't even find it. I'm going with Thornton. I'm going with Kyle Phillips. I'm going with
Thornton Phillips. And then I have Doss as my third. I have those two in Doss.
I'm going to go with Jalen Moore, but I have a lot of Dawson across my lineups though as well. I'm just looking for somebody to pair with Hundley there. And then for tight end, I'm going with Josh Oliver, but it's either him or Isaiah Likely for all of them, basically.
Yep.
Flex, my favorite flex. Again, we need to just watch reports and hopefully we get something. I really like Ty Montgomery. However, if we hear nothing about Ty Montgomery, then I'll probably go Pierre Jr.
Yeah, and I have Kevin Harrison.
Yeah, that works there. And then defense, I'm going with Patriots more often than not.
Yep, and like I just mentioned, I'm going Baltimore more often than not. But, I mean, what is a defense really going to win you this tournament?
Honestly,
I guess preseason it can get kind of crazy, huh?
Very, very. And then if you're playing over on FanDuel, No. Okay, I'm just thinking of showdown, which we can talk about in a second here as well. But kickers can really throw a loop into your shit for
Mhm.
showdowns in the preseason.
Yeah, and we're on DraftKings too. Did we mention that off the bat?
I think so, but yes, we are on
Okay.
DraftKings. Let's talk about showdown really quick. The only showdown they have for both sites is the Titans versus the Ravens. So the second game. So you have a little bit of extra time for that. Obviously, if you're not familiar with these single game lineups, the top player, your captain, right now it doesn't matter because all the prices are the same. Usually you got to be a little bit more strategic, but really you're just looking for the top overall score to put there. And for Titans Ravens, I'm splitting it between three guys. I'm splitting it between Malik Willis in some lineups, Tyler Huntley for some lineups, Hassan Haskins for some lineups. I'm not getting too creative there. But for these other ones, like I think the kickers and the defenses are fully in play. It looks like because last year the Ravens had Justin Tucker kick like one kick and then they had another kicker go. So that's why I wasn't playing him. But I need to look to see if they even have another kicker on their roster right now because they're not listing one. Because if Tucker is going to be the only kicker tonight, I think we should play him. Don't you?
I would agree. That would make the most sense.
Depth chart. Otherwise, on the other side for the Titans, they have two kickers. One is out, so Bullock is going to be the guy there. I have exposure to him. It looks like Justin Tucker's the only guy.
Maybe they're not going to kick. Work on some two-point stuff, some close fourth down stuff.
They will certainly do that. Let me look just to see how many kicks they attempted in their 3 preseason games last year, though. Because I can't imagine they will shuffle it too much. Okay. So week 1 preseason game, they attempted 3 field goals. Justin Tucker 1, and then they're back up 2. Preseason week 2, they went 2 field goals. They split 1 and 1 for each of those guys. And then week 3, they destroyed Washington. Justin Tucker did not play, but they kicked 2 field goals. So just because there is only one kicker on the roster and it's Justin Tucker, I think to your point, they might be a little bit more aggressive with these games not mattering, obviously. But if you're creating multiple showdown lineups, I do think you need to have exposure to him, some exposure to Bullock, and I think you need to have some exposure to the Ravens defense because if you're telling me Malik Willis throws a pick 6 or Logan Woodside, that's right. Yep. Like if, crazy things happen in the preseason, maybe somebody fumbles when they really shouldn't, yada, yada, yada. Defenses are certainly going to be a factor.
Who, before we get out of here, who did we say we should stack with Bailey Zappi?
With Bailey Zappi, I would go with, since we're talking at best, he's going to get second through fourth quarter. At worst, pretty much second half. I would stack him with Wilkerson, I believe is his name.
Christian?
Yep. Christian Wilkerson. Just bringing up the lineup right now. I like him with Christian Wilkerson. I like him with maybe Pierre Strong Jr. And then Trey Nixon is also in play for me, wide receiver as well. Again, I'm sort of just ignoring their tight end situation. I'm not sure what they're going to do.
Yep, agreed.
But yeah, I guess we can talk about that. That would be the Zappi stack. For Davis Webb, I would want Davis Webb and Keelan Doss, possibly sprinkle in a little Austin Allen in there if you're feeling frisky.
I am feeling frisky, so I'm going to do that.
Absolutely. And then obviously if you're doing Daniel Jones, I guess Daniel Jones and Saquon, or it's Daniel Jones and Wan'Dale Robinson. Malik Willis, I would stack with Kyle Phillips. And you can put Burks in there if you want. I don't think it's a necessity. And you can maybe go with Fitzpatrick there as well. But I would certainly go Phillips for sure.
Agreed.
For Hundley, I would go. They should release the starting lineup at some
Within
point.
minutes here.
They're the second game, though.
It's only
So,
half hour later.
right, it should be there. Watch the starting lineups for Hundley. And the good thing is everyone's the same price, so you can swap them whenever with ease. I would go Hundley with the starting tight end. It's either going to be Isaiah Likely or actually, you know what they're going to do? They're going to put a run blocker in there and fuck everybody up. I would either go Likely or Josh Oliver. I'm leaning towards Oliver because Likely is the bigger name, and Likely has been struggling in practice a little bit. Josh Oliver has certainly been there, so that's who I'm going with. And then I am also putting in Jalen Moore would be the wide receiver I would go with.
Okay. I like it.
I like it too. Let's win some money. I'm liking the showdown a lot too. I would suggest you guys play that. Don't go too crazy. Just play the players that you know are playing and they are playing together. And don't forget about kickers and defenses in showdown. That's the advice for that.
Yep.
But subscribe if you're watching. Let us know if you want us to do more DFS stuff before lock and future games. If you win big, definitely tag us on Twitter at Flurry Sports. Join the Fantasy Football by Committee group on Facebook. We're starting to build that up a little bit over there. And yeah, comment below what your favorite stack is. See you next time.
Football's fucking back, man.
I know. It feels really good.
Mm-hmm. I'm always conflicted on it because, I mean, summer's ending, but football's back. I'm never ready to give up summer, but it's hard to pass up football.
And these games tonight are fun. I like these games. I think they're really good. And tomorrow is going to be fun too. You got fucking Deshaun Watson going out there, going to get slaughtered. People are going for his head for sure. There's some good storylines. AB's comparing himself to Jesus. Football is back. I'm really excited about it.
The world's a better place when Antonio Brown compares himself to Jesus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, we will be back soon. We'll have a video for sure coming up tomorrow on the Flurry Sports YouTube channel. So subscribe to get ready for that, and we'll see you then.